Jon Jones turned down $30 million to avoid a fight. He chose retirement over facing one specific opponent. And on October 25th, his entire legacy hangs in the balance. But he won't be stepping into the octagon. Instead, he'll be watching from home, silently hoping that Ciryl Gane, a fighter he already destroyed, can save his reputation. Because if Tom Aspinall does what I think he's going to do at UFC 321, the so-called greatest of all time might finally be exposed as a fraud. Here's why this fight matters more to Jon Jones than it does to either man competing. To understand why Jon Jones is sweating this fight, we need to rewind to March 4th, 2023. UFC 285. Jones returned from a 3-year layoff to challenge Ciryl Gane for the vacant heavyweight championship. In just 2 minutes and 4 seconds, Jones locked in a guillotine choke and submitted Gane in the first round. It was dominant, it was clinical, and it became Jones's signature heavyweight victory. But here's the problem. That's basically his only impressive heavyweight win. Sure, he defended the title once after that, against 42-year-old Stipe Miocic, a washed-up legend way past his prime. Fans called it a gimme fight. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall was tearing through the division like a hurricane, finishing opponent after opponent in under 2 minutes. Aspinall became the interim heavyweight champion, while Jones sat on the sidelines. The MMA world begged for Jones versus Aspinall. It was the fight everyone wanted, the unification bout, the real test of Jones's heavyweight dominance. And what did Jones do? He ducked him, refused, retired instead. And now Aspinall is fighting the exact same opponent Jones beat, Ciryl Gane. And that's where this story gets absolutely insane. In June 2025, UFC President Dana White dropped a bombshell. He revealed that the Jones versus Aspinall fight was done. Contracts were ready, everything was set. And then Jones backed out, just walked away. White said, quote, he changed his mind and retired. But the real story came 2 months later when MMA journalist Ariel Helwani appeared on the Impulsive podcast and exposed exactly what happened behind the scenes. According to Helwani, Jon Jones gave the UFC an impossible number, $30 million, thinking they'd never agree to it. It was a negotiation tactic, a bluff. But Saudi Arabia got involved, the big money showed up, and the UFC actually accepted his demand. Jones said yes. Then, 48 to 72 hours later, he completely pulled out and retired. Let that sink in. Jones was offered the biggest payday in UFC history, $30 million, and he turned it down rather than fight Tom Aspinall. That's not business strategy, that's fear. Reddit exploded. Threads titled, Jon Jones is blatantly ducking Tom Aspinall racked up thousands of upvotes. UFC veteran Matt Brown said publicly, it looks like ducking. Even Ariel Helwani asked, is Jon Jones ruining his legacy by refusing Tom Aspinall? Jones tried to spin the narrative. He called Aspinall a nobody and claimed beating him would do nothing for my legacy. But fans weren't buying it. They saw the pattern. Jones used the same tactic against Francis Ngannou. Demand massive money. Hope they say no. Avoid the dangerous fight. And now, Jones's entire heavyweight legacy is about to be put to the test by a fight he's not even in. Because here's where the numbers start telling a terrifying story for Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall holds a UFC record that should have Jon Jones losing sleep at night. The shortest average fight time in heavyweight history, 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Think about that. Jones finished Gane in 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Aspinall's career average is 2 seconds faster than Jones' best heavyweight performance. Aspinall has finished 6 of his 8 UFC opponents in under 90 seconds of the first round. He's a wrecking ball with scary speed and elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu credentials. He won the British Open in every belt except black belt. He submitted Alexander Volkov with a brutal armbar. The man is built to finish fights instantly. Now, here's why UFC 321 is a proxy war. Aspinall is fighting Ciryl Gane, the exact same opponent Jones beat to win the heavyweight title. It's the same puzzle, the same challenge. And if Aspinall finishes Gane faster or more impressively than Jones did, it proves one undeniable truth. Jones avoided the real threat. Let's look at what Jones is hoping doesn't happen. If Aspinall submits Gane in under 2 minutes and 4 seconds, he literally beats Jones' time against the same opponent. That destroys the narrative that Jones is the better heavyweight. It makes Jones look like a coward who ran from a younger, faster, more dangerous version of himself. And Gane? He's the perfect opponent for this comparison because we already know his weaknesses. Against Jones, Gane's coach admitted he only had 6 to 7 weeks to prepare because the fight was originally supposed to be against Francis Ngannou. Gane himself said after the loss, quote, I was not there. I don't recognize myself. It's something I've never done in my life. Translation, he choked under the pressure. Gane's takedown defense is only 55%. Jones exploited that with an Olympic gold medalist, Henry Cejudo, coaching him in training camp. There's actual footage of Cejudo teaching Jones the exact body lock to guillotine sequence he used in the fight. At 1 minute and 47 seconds into the fight, Gane tried to escape Jones's body lock by reversing position, and it put him directly into the guillotine. Cejudo predicted it. Jones executed it perfectly. Now, here's the question everyone's debating. Can Aspinall exploit that same weakness even better than Jones did? Aspinall said recently that Gane has worked on the holes in his ground game and might even try to wrestle at UFC 321. But fans are skeptical. His takedown defense stats haven't magically improved. If he panics under grappling pressure like he did against Jones, Aspinall with superior BJJ credentials could submit him even faster. But there's one more factor that makes this fight absolutely critical for Jon Jones's legacy, and it has nothing to do with what happens inside the octagon. It's about what happens the second the fight ends. If Gane wins at UFC 321, Jon Jones gets exactly what he needs. Aspinall gets exposed as overhyped. Jones looks smart for avoiding the fight. He can say, "See? I told you Aspinall wasn't ready. I would have destroyed him too." It validates every excuse he's made. It keeps his heavyweight legacy intact. But if Aspinall wins, especially if he wins dominantly, Jones' entire narrative collapses. The MMA community will roast him mercilessly. Reddit threads will explode with "Jones was scared" posts. Twitter will light him up. UFC commentator Jon Anik already said Aspinall is under one of the biggest pressure spots in UFC history, specifically because everyone is comparing him to Jones. Even Aspinall feels it. In a September interview, he admitted, quote, "I don't want to get beat up. The mental pressure is real. The ghost of Jon Jones is haunting this fight." Aspinall knows that if he loses, it validates Jones's decision to duck him. But if he wins, he becomes the man who proved the greatest of all time was running scared. Here's the long game. This is Ciryl Gane's third UFC title shot. He lost to Francis Ngannou in 2022. He lost to Jon Jones in 2023. No heavyweight in UFC history has ever gotten a fourth title shot. Aspinall even said publicly he wants to get rid of Ciryl Gane from the title picture for good. This is Gane's last chance. If Gane somehow pulls off the upset, it opens the door for a Jones rematch, especially if Jones unretires for the rumored White House UFC card in June 2026. Jones tried to come back for it, but Dana White rejected him, saying he couldn't risk putting Jones in a big spot after he burned his credibility. But if Aspinall wins, the pressure on Jon Jones becomes unbearable. The Jones-Aspinall fight becomes mandatory, or Jones gets labeled a ducker for the rest of his career. His GOAT status, already on shaky ground after avoiding Ngannou and now Aspinall, takes a massive hit. Fans are already saying Jon Jones's GOAT status should be questioned by even his most loyal fans. This fight determines whether Jon Jones's heavyweight legacy survives or crumbles. If you want to see how this story plays out, make sure you're subscribed because I'll be breaking down the result the second UFC 321 ends. October 25th, Abu Dhabi, Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. Jon Jones won't be in the octagon, but make no mistake, this is his fight, his legacy, his reputation. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like and subscribe button and drop your views on the comment section.